Good morning, everybody. Jim Feist and Hank Goldberg here in Las Vegas. We got a short card in college hoops today, but we got a couple of ranked teams going against each other, and we've got another ranked team in another game, the number one team in the nation, actually. Good morning, Hank.
Hey, Jim. How you doing?
Doing good. We had a couple interesting games over the weekend in college basketball. We got the NBA is always interesting, and of course You did good in the horses. You had a big hit in the horses, and
well, it wasn't that big a hit, but let me talk about that since you brought it up. There was a horse, Baffert's horse, Nadal, who was a heavy favorite, despite having only run once, but won the San Vicente, and he was a horse called Ginobili ran with him. For almost the entire race, and he just beat him by a little bit. And Ginobili was like a 13-1 shot, who ran second. The other horse in the race who did not run well, that was a horse who had won the juvenile last year in the Breeders' Cup. I didn't like that horse at all. I left him out. I thought that was a win, that fluke. That was a fluke, that win. And Storm the Court I'm talking about. So, but Nadal will probably next run in the Rebel. The Sam Davis, the favorite, did not run all that well there. I didn't like anything coming out of that race in Tampa. Tis the Law, who is the morning line favorite in the Derby pool, will not run again until the 28th of March in the Florida Derby. So that's the trio. But Nadal was impressive. His next race will be in the Rebel. Baffert's not going to leave him in California to run against his other horses there. And the Rebel is at Oaklawn. So that's the deal right now with the 3-year-olds. But Nadal was impressive. I mean, this is only his second race. And there were no points given for the San Vicente. So he's got to go where he can get points. And so Baffert's going to ship him to Oaklawn.
I see. Interesting business. You keep track of all that. You talk about horses, basketball, football, base. I mean, it's overwhelming. You got a lot of hours put in every day, Hank.
Well, it's nothing I wouldn't have looked at yesterday anyway. But they only had 8 races on the card at Santa Anita. Also, there was some good basketball this past weekend. In fact, there were some pretty good games yesterday. Marquette-Butler was a real good game. Marquette's got a nice team, and they beat Butler. Rutgers didn't perform all that well against Northwestern. But the games on Saturday, there were 2 real interesting games that were played that were very similar. Duke played North Carolina, which is a tremendous rivalry. And you remember they went into that game 50-50 in terms of wins against each other. And equal number of points against each other in the 100 games they have played against each other.
That was incredible.
And this game was decided by 2 points. And this is not much of a North Carolina team this year. Not only that, but they had fouled out a couple of guys, and Duke did not play very well. They were behind almost the entire game, but they came back late. And only when Vernon Carey, their All-American inside guy, went out of the game, he didn't score in the second half. And it was interesting that Duke went to a small lineup, and that's when they played well. They stopped shooting threes, and they used their defense and their speed to run the floor against North Carolina, and that's how they came back in the game. And then when Duke got a chance to to get back into the game with from the foul line. They did, and after the second shot, leading up to the second free throw, Coach K put in two big men, which was a very smart move because they got the rebound on a missed free throw, and they controlled the boards in the last few seconds of the game, and they were lucky to win because Jones threw up a shot and missed it, and there was somebody underneath the basket. I think it was Moore who tipped the ball in at the buzzer on an air ball, and it went in just as the buzzer was going off. That's how Duke won.
Wow.
And they were a 7.5-point favorite. Of course, they did not cover. The other game was LSU and Auburn, and that was just a great game. LSU had the lead most of the way, but Auburn is a tough team, and they fight back in games, and they came back, and they wound up winning the game. Although they didn't cover the 3 points, they only won by a point. But they won, and that's what counts. And so they've only got 2 losses on the year. And LSU's a good team, and they beat them. And that was a game where, they can control the boards when they have to, and they can make key shots when they have to. And that's what they did because they were down about 10 points in that game for much of the game. So those were the 2 highlights on Saturday.
Well, if Duke comes
and
back...
San Diego State. State, Air Force was giving them trouble for a while, but they came through late in the game and wound up covering the 13.5 points. But that's a good team.
Yeah, a very good team. Baylor is going tonight, number 1 team in the country. They're 21-1 on the year, and they play at Texas as a 5.5 or 6-point favorite. That's
yeah, they're home.
No, Baylor's on the road.
Pardon me?
Baylor's at Texas.
According to my sheet here, they're at home.
I'm looking at the Don
Maybe
Best.
the sheet is wrong. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Yeah, Baylor is on the road.
Yeah, there's 5.5.
She made a mistake.
5.5 or 6-point favorite.
Yeah. Well, Texas is well coached. They're playing pretty decently lately. Shaka Smart is a good coach, and they're competitive. That could be a good game. Duke, Florida State. Florida State is also well coached. Leonard Hamilton does a good job with that team. Duke hasn't been blowing anybody out lately.
They have identical records, Hank. They're both 20-3 on the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be that's 2 highlight games of the nights for sure. You got Tech.
The XFL debuted this weekend. They got some viewers. They drew, I think, all the teams drew about 18,000 people. And the 2 teams that were ranked, the 2 top teams, Dallas and Tampa Bay, both lost on the road. Dallas didn't look good at all. They were very disappointing because they played St. Louis. And the other game was Tampa Bay. They looked terrible. Their quarterback did not play well. He was coming off, I think he was coming off an injury, but he still, he got the ball. They kept getting the ball down inside the 5 and not scoring. And they were very disappointing. They only scored 3 points against New York. So, and I was happy for Brad Pitt, who won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. He's a real good guy.
I was surprised that the foreign film won the Best Picture, but I never saw it. but the 1917 was favored by so much. I thought they would win.
They got a lot of awards, but it's unusual that a team that a movie without English being spoken would win an Academy Award.
Very.
But the guy who was the director, he was great, because he had to keep going back up to accept awards. He was very gracious and kept talking about I think he really wanted to start drinking heavily.
I wonder if he did. That was funny. Yeah, we, this is a little bit of a lull in some ways. It's very exciting for the college basketball teams, but they're heading towards the conference championships, and then, of course, the NCAA, NIT, and all the other postseason tournaments. And this is a little bit of a positioning, and we see a lot of teams that are favored, that are ranked high in the top 25, and they're not doing nearly as well as everybody expects them to do.
Well, they're not that good. They don't have teams that can dominate. I'll tell you, like, for example, Michigan State was supposed to be good this year. They're not. They lost to Michigan over the weekend. This is not a good team, and those teams usually improve as the season goes on, and they're not improving. So they're just not. Even the teams that wouldn't surprise me if Baylor has a tough time tonight. The one team that continues to play well is Gonzaga, but there aren't teams that are overpowering at all. And I think that when they get into the postseason, it's going to be tough to pick those games. You're going to find teams from lesser conferences that might score some wins early on. That's
very possible. Years ago, we had quite a few of those teams stick in there and get to the finals. We might have a Dayton in there. That's a very good team. Plays very well coached. So you mentioned San Diego State. So it'll be an exciting tournament because you don't have the dominant teams at the top. That will open things up a lot.
Well, Villanova is not great this year. The traditional teams, Duke is not. They don't have a lot of depth on their team that they normally have, and they're a very erratic shooting team. Virginia, which is normally a great defensive team, isn't that great. Kentucky is pretty good, and they're coming on. They're young, but they're coming on, and he's a heck of a coach. Louisville is very erratic. The other teams from the Southeast Conference. I mean, Auburn is going to be a postseason contender. They're tough.
Very.
And but it's I couldn't pick a team right now that's going to win. I think Lenardi's ratings. I don't believe in that.
It's just going to be wide open. It's going to be fun. Money-making opportunities for all of us that handicap on a consistent basis. Hank, we'll cut it short today. We don't have that much going on. And we'll talk again on Wednesday.
Okay. Have you handicapped the primary in New Hampshire?
I stay as far away from politics as I possibly can. It's very divisive. And
I'll tell you, the Greek used to make a lot of money betting on politics.
Really? Well, the Greek was a talented man. I haven't followed it, and it's a very divisive stuff out there. I just stay away from it.
One of the biggest scores Jimmy ever made was when he bet Truman against Dewey, 1948. Well,
I was a little young for that. For that one.
Well, he won $1 million.
No kidding. In 48? Wow.
Yeah.
And
he bet, he took 4-1 odds, 5-1 odds, and he bet Harold Salvi hooked him up with a guy in New York, and he told him he was going to bet $400,000, and he said, "Don't bet it all with one guy. Bet $200,000 with two different guys, just in case." And just in case came through, because the one guy stiffed him, and the other guy paid him.
Wow. That's a good lesson. That's a good lesson for everybody. Yeah. All right, Hank. If nothing else, we'll talk Wednesday.
Okay, have a good day.
You too. Thank you. Interesting stories. Hank he goes back. He's got a lot of great stories. We'll pick this up again on Wednesday and have a good couple of days. Make sure you visit the website, jimfeist.com. And lots of winners to come. And we really I personally look at this NCAA tournament, NIT, CBI, CIT, as a real money-making opportunity. And that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And then before that, we're going to have the conference championships, the tournaments, and that's going to be exciting as well. A lot of the teams right now are positioning for that. They have their head a little bit looking forward, and I think that's why you're seeing some of the upsets and closer games than you expect. Anyway, we'll talk soon. Thank you.
This is no ordinary sub shop. This is Firehouse Subs.
Welcome to Firehouse.
Tired of overpriced lunches that underdeliver on flavor? Head to Firehouse Subs, where for a limited time you can get a $4.99 choice sub. Choose from a medium smoked turkey, Virginia honey ham, or roast beef. They're custom-made hot subs at a price ready-made to make you smile. Just $4.99, only at Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs, save more lives. Participating locations plus tax, limited time offer. Prices may vary for delivery. This is no ordinary sub shop. This is Firehouse Subs.
Welcome to Firehouse.
Tired of overpriced lunches that underdeliver on flavor? Head to Firehouse Subs, where for a limited time you can get a $4.99 choice sub. Choose from a medium smoked turkey, Virginia honey ham, or roast beef. They're custom-made hot subs at a price ready-made to make you smile. Just $4.99, only at Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs, save more lives. Participating locations plus tax, limited time offer. Prices may vary for delivery.